I've often tried to describe how Descendants of Zombies makes me feel, and more often than enough, I've been left at a loss for words. So you guys are really going to have to forgive me. But I honestly believe that if I had the chance to create Descendants of Zombies the way so many people have, because how I've always looked at this is you guys are always what have made Descendants of Zombies so special. If I ever had the chance to be a part of a documentary like the Descendants of Zombies Worlds Collide Tour concert special last month, and Disney were to put the cameras in front of me, and they simply asked me, "Hey Jonathan, how does Descendants of Zombies make you feel after all this time?" I would simply have to start with the love and support, because I really don't know if I've ever had the chance to experience anything that is even close, that closely resembles to how Descendants of Zombies has made me feel. I say this because upon creating this channel, I really feel like I fell backwards into a rabbit hole. And upon falling down through that rabbit hole, I met so many incredible people along the way who I shared my story with. A story at the time that I never imagined would have ever been heard or seen by as many people as it will go on to be seen and heard by. And because of you, this YouTube channel has become everybody's favorite. And that means more to me. What you guys have to know is that really means more to me than words could ever say. To be able to sit here every night and tell you guys how Kylie Control makes me feel on what is tonight her 21st birthday really was a phenomenal experience for me because I got to share my story with far more people than I ever thought I would because I realized there were more fans of Kylie Control out there than I ever thought existed because I had no idea that Descendants of Zombies would ever go on to become as popular as what it has. It resonates with people. It makes them feel connected to something special. And I think that people who talk about it more often than enough on YouTube really have to understand how Descendants of Zombies makes people feel as a whole. Because it was never really one person who was affected by this niche. It was thousands, if never millions of people who felt closer to something, who felt a part of something, and who felt connected to something very special. And I became one of those people. And along the way, I somehow or some way became a part of your soundtrack. And I was able to put everything into perspective for people, which is all I ever wanted to do, was simply help you make sense of everything happening around you that involved Descendants of Zombies, which involve your favorite characters that may have included your favorite storylines, your favorite aspects, your favorite moments. I took everything and I tried to put it into perspective so that people would take away a greater appreciation for this franchise because more often than enough, where my issue stems from is always these critics. Because these critics are looking for something negative to say every single time that they ever push record, because that's what they're paid to do. Many people are paid to create YouTube and be critics, and they love coming off as critics. I've never wanted to be perceived as a critic because I am far from a critic. If you want to see a guy who really appreciates Descendants of Zombies, then you should look no further than this channel. Because from what I can tell you, and from what I've had the chance to experience, the love and support that you receive for creating these videos are truly undescribable. And more times than often enough, I've been left at a loss for words. Every day it shows how people subscribe here, people like the videos, and they themselves always have something nice to say. So because you guys always have something nice to say, I say let's keep that vibe going for people who are becoming newly involved with this franchise and becoming so interested in the new characters of this new generation. Because what we have the chance to be a part of is really a new generation. I mean, Kylie Cantrell and Leah Baker represented this new generation so emphatically. I always looked at them for being forever strong and forever fearless. And by the light of the moon every night, these are conversations I look forward to having because it brings people that much closer together. And you guys really have served as the conscience of Descendants of Zombies. You presented me with more incentive than I ever thought that I ever would have. You've given me so much of a reason to keep on moving forward with my thoughts and predictions, which really mean more to me than words could ever say. Because how this YouTube channel began was with both a hope and a promise. And the only hope I ever had was that upon uploading a video about Descendants of Zombies, somebody was going to subscribe here. And you know something? Everybody saw the good. In every video that I would go on to create predictions, thoughts, theories that I may have had about alien invasions and alien motherships on the way to Earth to kill us all, people saw value in that. And more times than often enough, while people probably never admitted to this, I made milk come out through their noses. And that really, meant so much to me because I was a relatable voice, which is something you guys have been wanting and demanding for a very long time. If you guys were looking for a guy to binge watch Liv and Maddie and tell you what his favorite episodes were and his favorite moments, then I was your guy. If you wanted a guy who would be the one who would always watch Descendants a million times over, if never a bajillion, I was your guy. Because when I told you I watched Descendants: The Rise of Red for over 1,000 times, I really did, 1,001 times. Because every time I watched it, I felt like I was watching it for the first time ever, and I always took something new and innovative away to often appreciate, because the performances of Kylie and Malia were really off the charts. And when you compare them to performances of the past generation, like Dove Cameron, Sophia Carson, even Cameron Boyce, there was really nothing that could ever compare to what Kylie and Malia offered to this franchise. Because for many of the new fans of this niche, this new cast is all they've ever known, and they're kind of going back in time. I've always said that, and I've always put over Disney Plus as a beautiful thing, because one of the most beautiful things about Disney Plus always has been how it gives you a chance to go back in time and relive what once was, but also kind of become familiar with what's new. And I think this new trend for Descendants of Empowerment, this really coming of age moment in time, is really something to appreciate, because a lot of people are taking away that same incentive that these characters really presented for the first time ever. Because when you think back on what Descendants once was, there never really was a showcasing of empowerment. There never really were empowerment moments that we saw. Pretty much it revolved around this wand that if the villains believed they obtained, they would maintain control of Oradon, and they would have to bow before them, all the heroes would, and the villains would reign triumphant. But then the rise of Red happens, and then we have this appreciation for empowerment. We have this greater appreciation for friendships and true love. Because the thing that I got from the original Descendants was that Mel never knew what true love really felt like. When she looked at Ben and Ben asked her if she knew what love felt like, she said, I can't even remember what really love felt like, because she had never had the chance to experience until the rise of Red just happens. And then we have this greater appreciation for friendship, and we have this greater appreciation for just how time really plays a critical role in the outcome of all of our lives. Because the thing about our future is we never seem to know what our future has in store. And now the greater appreciation will once again be placed upon Descendants Wicked Wonderland, because there's an emphasis on the consequences of time travel, because now the focus has shifted from the past into present day Wonderland. And now with the Kingdom Cup games happening for the first time ever, you didn't believe this story was going to see its conclusion now, did you? Because we're going to see more people see their introduction into Wardon for the first time ever. My only regret was I wasn't called up as a character to be a part of the Kingdom Cup games, because I would have loved to have partaken in the Kingdom Cup games and went on to become everybody's favorite hero. I would have loved to have been a VK or an HK. That would have been so cool. Probably an HK, a hero kid, because I always envisioned myself as being a Hercules kind of character. Hercules' the son probably could have been named Jonathan, and we could have went from there. But I always had this thought in my mind, how cool it would have been to have been everybody's favorite hero. Now, I may have never known how I would have ever went about doing that, but it would have been so cool kind of to have the chance to win the heart of Red. Obviously, she has this new love interest now coming from Wicked Wonderland in Louise Matrodoc. That's going to be really interesting, quite interesting actually, because we're going to see a side of Red that we may have never seen before from the Rise of Red, as she navigates the many challenges of sisterhood, which is something I'm really looking forward to, because not only her will have that greater appreciation for sisterhood, what we're going through and face with in our own lives, that will give us a greater appreciation about what we have to endure and what we have to go through, because we may have a little sister who looks at us as our hero. So because she looks at us as her hero, that is something to really appreciate. And I think the greater emphasis being placed upon that is absolutely perfect in the Wicked Wonderland installment, because it's modernly updated. Of course, the castle has been modernly updated. The look and feel of Wonderland has been modernly updated. And I think Oradon kids are really going to have something to really appreciate and look ahead to. Because this never has to be looked at as a conclusion. This can really keep on moving forward, and we can see installment on top of chapter on top of chapter on top of chapter. Because the thing I really appreciated about fairy tales is how often and how frequently they've encouraged things happening for forever. Like years ago when I first launched this channel and I was talking about whatever I was talking about at the time, I had no idea that I would have had the chance to have been a part of so many generations of long gone, and now been back to be a part of this generation, long forgotten, and been back to be a part of this generation. But you guys really made that happen for me. So the longevity of Descendants and Zombies proved it to be true. And I've always appreciated something special about longevity, because longevity has always had this way of really making things have a chance of lasting for forever, or at least seeming that way. for people. Because no matter what the age is, no matter who your favorite character is or what your favorite moment may have been, you always remember those moments. Probably it was the first moment that Mal made her way into Oregon, fell in love with Ben, found her true love, and they spent the rest of their lives together. They may have faced so many challenges along the way, but you always remembered how they were meant for each other and how they always just felt inseparable. And that's what became your favorite moments because they always meant so much to your heart. Probably your favorite moment was when Red and Chloe became friends for the first time ever and they really lasted. Their friendship really lasted. And it wasn't just the friendship we saw in front of the camera, but it was also friendships that we saw off of the camera because there was always something about that trio, Kylie, Malia, and Ruby, that I could never get enough of. They often reminded me of Disney's Three Musketeers, of course, Donald Duck, Goofy, and Mickey, because they were always there for each other. They were always having fun, and they always wanted to have fun. And I never ever forgot how they always wanted to have fun and how they just were meant for each other. We've often heard Kylie and Ruby talk about their friendship and how it really has lasted for forever and how they were there for each other every moment of every day because they were forever supportive of each other. And I think we can really find time in supporting that and encouraging that in every video we record. I just wish that more guys who sat in front of their microphones who try to review Descendants of Zombies, because that's all they've ever seemingly tried to do was review Descendants of Zombies. My only wish was that more guys had that same appreciation coming from my heart that I always had for all of you because you always were the ones who made these moments special for me and gave me a chance to review something that I thought of as being something so special. I really thought the Perfect Princess music video was blown out of proportion. I really thought it was a beautiful music video and it was blown out of proportion for the obvious reasons because it was a song that was meant to introduce us to this brand new character. And why do you think that was? Just stop for a moment and think about that. Why do you think that song was to introduce us to this brand new character who obviously was Pink? The reason is because she is going to carry on the tradition of Descendants of Zombies. And like we saw in Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, that unforgettable passing of the torch moment from, of course, Mila Manheim and Meg Donnelly to now Freya Sky and Malachi Barton. We could be setting ourselves up for that same kind of thing happening of similarity in Descendants Wicked Wonderland in more ways than one. Because not only is just Liamani Segura coming in to have the torch passed to her, but millions of other characters could be coming from afar as well. Characters we've never seen before from stories that have yet to be explored. And that really is something to be excited for. That is really something to look ahead to because not only is Liamani going to be in Descendants Wicked Wonderland, but she's also going to lend her hand to Camp Rock 3. And I know it's been about 15 years since we've seen anything done with Camp Rock, but I think Camp Rock 3 was really needed because, of course, we had High School Musical get to the point where they became a revered trilogy that people still remember, people still talk about, but never as often as enough as what Descendants is being talked about. But people still remember High School Musical without a doubt. So High School Musical had its trilogy. Now Camp Rock is getting its trilogy many years later. But the authentic thing about Camp Rock is we never really did see a new cast in a movie for High School Musical. We saw it in a series, but the series only had a limited number of episodes with probably 3 seasons. So the series focused on the future stars like Kylie Contrell and Meg Donnelly at the time and Liamani, but we never did see a new movie with a brand new cast. At least Camp Rock, while it may have never had a series, has a brand new movie, a brand new franchise, a brand new take on what once was with a brand new cast. And from what I've seen, this cast is really full of potential. So because this cast is really full of potential, we still have a long way to go and we have more of a chance to present to them than perhaps ever before. And I'm really excited to be a part of it with all of you because we still have that much further to go with this story. And it really is going to be a beautiful one that many of us are never, ever going to forget. Thank you so very much forever and always for always holding a special place in your heart for all of these wonderful moments and really allowing me to be a part of these moments that I will never, ever forget because I remember being a part of every generation of Disney, and I come from a very different generation that once was, that is very different from this generation, but I will never ever forget having the chance to be a part of your generation because your generation was full of so much excitement. And I had the chance to be a part of that because of all of you, because you saw something special in every video that I would ever go on to create. There is so much potential with these new stars, and they are some of the strongest people that I've ever had the chance to meet in my life. So because they are some of the strongest people that I've ever had the chance to meet in my life and talk about, I say let's give them a chance and let's see where this franchise takes us. Because there is so much of a chance and so much of a story yet to explore. So many distant lands, so many predictions that have already been made. I get that, but there are still so many predictions that have yet to be made. Because the thing about zombies is, I mean, we're seeing mermaids introduced to this story for what is going to be the first time ever. So because it's going to be zombies for what is going to be the first time ever, I think, or mermaids rather, that are going to be introduced for the first time ever, I think everything is really falling into place because the mermaids' names are really beautiful. The costume updates look outstanding. I know that the costumes, especially for Freya Sky being updated, have received their fair share of criticism, but we'll get to all that because I really want to give Freya Sky's new look as the character Nova more of a chance. I also want to give Malachi Burton's character Victor more of a chance because they undeniably look perfect together and they were meant to, for each other because the thing was they would have never been meant for each other if they never had happened the way they did. Of course, they met each other at what was the Bloodfruit Orchard Gate, and upon meeting each other at the Bloodfruit Orchard Gate, this story would go on to become something far more than we ever thought it would. They had seen each other in a reoccurring dream. And I think this happens for more people than they ever admit to it. Because I know it used to happen for me. I used to have these reoccurring dreams of somebody I thought about spending the rest of my life with. I can't say that I ever had the chance to meet that person, but reoccurring dreams are somewhat of a trend. It was a developing trend when I was growing up. It's still a developing trend. And, sometimes Disney has a way of looking at things that really do happen in everyday life. And I just wish more people would take the time to really appreciate how things like Forever and fairy tales can really last for forever because I think that when we have these conversations with people who just want to be given hope that this really does last and exist, I think that's what really makes moments in life really worth living for. And I had the chance to experience that because of all of you, because you guys have forever and always held a very special place in my heart for the obvious reasons, for how passionate you felt about your favorite characters, how you just wanted to be a part of these unforgettable moments, and hear my crazy theories and predictions on what I thought was going to happen. I always believed that there was more of a love story to be told for Zed and Aniston's characters. I can't say that I ever wanted to say goodbye or ever wanted to let go of their story because at least for 7 years, that story had held a very special place in the hearts of many people, and it will continue to for many years to come. I would venture a guess that there are people who use Disney Plus if they have access to it to rewatch the original trilogy because the original trilogy upon Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires was really a go-to. It was really a staple for Disney Channel for at least 7 years. And that story represented a story about a power couple, or at least who became a power couple of his generation. You can make as many comparisons as you want to power couples of the past, but I always believed that Zed and Addison would always come out on top because there are so many people who saw themselves in a relationship they may have been involved in through the eyes of Zed and Addison, or just saw themselves in everyday life because of the circumstances and the many challenges they were faced with along the way. So I think there were more people who took so much incentive away from that aspect of the story and will begin to take more, incentive away from the new aspects of this brand new story, which has yet to be told. Because that really is the most beautiful thing about Nova and Victor's story is they are two characters that we really don't know that much about. So because we really don't know that much about them, we still have that much further to go. And I'm so excited to be a part of this future with all of you because we still have that much further to go and so many more chapters left to write. Mermaids are only one way of looking at it. So because mermaids are really only one way of looking at it, we still have so many characters that have potential of finding their way into this story. So because we have so many characters that still have potential of finding their way into this story and there's so much of a supernatural lore, I can't say I've really paid that much attention to people who are saying we're running out of supernatural lore to explore in zombies because I've never wanted to believe that. And we are far away from supernatural lore seeing its conclusion in the zombies franchise. If you can have endless stories about Twilight and the Vampire Diaries and True Blood, you can have the same thing happen for Descendants of Zombies because there is so much of a supernatural lore, yes, to explore there, but also here as well because our world is very different from a Twilight world or a world that's represented by the Vampire Diaries, which you can only stream now on Amazon Prime. This franchise is really going to stand the test of time and really have a chance of lasting for forever. And that's what I love so much about having the chance to be here and talking about this for up to a half an hour because I really can. I wish there were more people who could commentate on Descendants of Zombies and offer an imaginative thought for people, really a spark. Because this is a franchise you can just keep on moving forward with and really continue to offer so much influential thoughts and predictions and just keep on moving forward with it. Because whoever thought in the Vampire Diaries, you take the Vampire Diaries, for instance, the Vampire Diaries had 8 seasons. And by season 8, of course, Caroline and Stefan fell in love with each other. They got married, had kids. Elena fell in love with Damon, which was a very different take on the story because we always thought that Elena and Stefan would end up together, and probably Caroline would eventually find somebody to fall in love with. We never thought it would be Stefan. But the thing was, in the Vampire Diaries, which I know Freya Sky was a huge fan and supporter of, they kept on moving forward with stories. And you had everything from witches, you had everything from supernatural characters and lore being explored, you had other dimensions, you had people coming from the past, you had people going back in time. You just had the story going for over almost 10 years. And the longevity is what represented such a cultural impact that the Vampire Diaries would go on to have on so many lives. And Twilight was looked at the same way. Teen Wolf was another one that a lot of people were very fond of. There are stations on free TV that stream Teen Wolf every night. If you have these free streaming apps, people stream Teen Wolf every night because of the cultural impact it's had and its longevity. So I think the same logic applies for Descendants of Zombies. There are so many storylines you can keep on moving forward with vampires alone to keep this one alive. And I guess that's how I've really been able to take away that greater appreciation is because there's such a longevity to explore with this and to offer so many people to feel encouraged about. So I say let's keep on moving forward with this and see where it takes us along that very unpredictable road and sometimes that very unpredictable path. But that doesn't mean that we can't experience it together. Share what we already know with people who are just becoming introduced to this franchise and their stories for the first time ever, and let them tell us how they really feel because that's what creates diversity. And that's something I really loved and appreciated was how these franchises had a way of creating diversity in so many incredible ways. It left such a cultural impact in its wake, and I had the chance to be a part of that. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my crazy, oftentimes very funny stories with all of you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your worlds and your stories for as long as you have. And it's just really been an honor or privilege for me to be here, to be able to sit behind this microphone and talk about Descendants of Zombies in the way that I have. And these are memories that we created together and memories that will always hold a very special place in my heart. I will have so much to say where we're headed with this one tomorrow when I upload a new podcast bright and early between 8:35 and 9:05 a.m., which is a conversation I hope you will join me for. This podcast will be featured as part of tomorrow's lineup, and I hope you can join me for all the conversations that are forthcoming in tomorrow's conversations, that are conversations that I obviously look forward to and look forward to having with all of you. On what is tonight Kylie Control's 21st birthday, once again, as we close this one out on this beautiful evening, never forget we are looking at the same moon and the same stars, and whatever it is you may be going through, just know you will see your way through it, and you will get through it because of your love and your friendships that you have representing your own lives, and everybody is around you helping you make sense of everything you're going through, and trust me, everybody has a light, and everybody does eventually find that light. From wherever you're watching these videos tonight or from wherever you hear my voice, just know that everything is going to be okay because we are going to get there together. And there is no better way of experiencing Descendants of Zombies than by simply experiencing it together, which is something I had the chance to do because of all of you. Thank you so very much for allowing me the opportunity to be here with all of you for as long as I have because it really feels like forever that I've been here and I've really had the time of my life. Thank you so much for always and forever for having chosen this YouTube channel as your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel and for always having watched these videos and for always having a special place in your heart for the content that we really created together because somewhere, somehow we reached out and touched far more hearts than ever before and made people feel a part of and obviously connected to something that was far more special than we ever imagined that it would ever be. Thank you so much, always and forever, for having proudly represented yourselves as this niche, the fans of Descendants of Zombies, and thank you so much for always choosing this YouTube channel as what became your favorite Descendants of Zombies YouTube channel of all time. From my heart to yours, thank you so much for always having the time to have watched these videos. From my heart to yours, thank you so very much for allowing me the chance to be a part of your worlds and your stories because it means more to me than words could ever say. We will pick up this conversation bright and early between 8:35 and 9:05 a.m. tomorrow morning. Until then, of course, I am your host, Jonathan Clarke. Keep that special place in your hearts for Descendants of Zombies, and thank you so much from my heart to yours for always and forever having watched these videos.